Kingzone, you could still see them locking in Jace blind. They are supremely confident. There's still a lot up in the air for second round.
And with the Kog'Maw lock-in, it's so interesting because we heard Reckless and Doublelift both say that the Kai'Sa side of this matchup is undoable. It's actually impossible for them. Now, how am I?
Support's a factor, but no range support on the side of the Flashels. We've known about the Camille early. Armor-band away final here. Let's see where LMS goes. Flashels go with their first pick here.
Exactly, that's the thing. Supports are so much of how laning
phase goes for the bottom lane. And as Medic said, Tahm Kench, not that strong of a laner for the bottom side.
So they will blind mid lane. Galio and Kha'Zix, a very famous duo. Last year, especially, Galio nerfs have moved it away, but now you invade as Kha'Zix, you're unseen. Galio joins you, and there's a lot to deal with. There's a lot of pressure onto Peanut with the Galio draft. Now, if they are to take a really supremely strong top laner, it'll be a blind pick. So they're trying to give Hanabi as much of a chance as possible to counterpick.
So we see that range support possibility from Kingzone. They're going to switch from the Lulu to a Gnar in the top lane here for Khan, someone that can be aggressive. We've seen that split push Gnar build with the Ginsus, even with Runan's Hurricane at time as well. We'll have to see how he interacts with the team and just that support pick left for Gorilla.
All right, Gorilla looks like he wants some more lane phase power to help out the Kai'Sa early on so they don't get very far behind NCS. Lulu definitely very good at the laning phase, adding a lot of extra pressure there. But again, you're looking at this LMS lineup in there. There's so many directions that you can go with it.
Do they have Kingzone Dragon X exactly where they want them? Gorilla did opt into the ranged support who can get pressure but be ganked. If double flash goes down on Lulu and Kai'Sa, that's going to be just a terrible time. And here's Flash Wolves for last pick.
Matchup. That's a classic matchup if he picks it.
Calm down, calm down. Now let's go. He's got it.
Come up, Kobe.
It is indeed going to be the Yasuo counter into the Gnar. We've seen it so many times. What you want to do in this matchup, Yasuo has so much mobility that's easy for him to try and take advantage of the Gnar mini form and go offensive in that time. They also have the Kha'Zix as their jungler, so there's a lot of damage that they could bring to brunt in that matchup. However, Khan, this is your time to shine. There have been questions at this tournament. The Vladimir play, very questionable. And now is his time to really show up.
From level 6 onwards, the threat is massive. And I mean level 6 on the Kha'Zix, because suddenly Kha'Zix and Galio can join you when you think you're just going mano a mano with the Yasuo and top side. The other big mechanic, of course, we've talked about many times, wind wall. Interrupting the Q does mean much longer cooldown on the boomerang toss and the harass. There's little things that work for Yasuo. It's also range versus melee. It's a swinging one.
And what a brave pick here for Hanabi. He's a rookie in the top lane.
Exactly.
Facing into Khan, the top lane monster. That is such a power pick for them. And if you can make it work, it works out so well for Flash Wolves.
So much mobility possible here for Flash Wolves. Galio moving from mid lane post level 6. Sword Art on the Tahm Kench, possibly moving from bottom lane as well. And we'll see how quickly this map gets pulled apart.
Well, my hype levels have come up pretty quick, guys. This is going to be a really fun one here. I think Flash Wolves have done some great stuff in the draft. The Kingzone do also have some fearsome champions of their own. I just want to get into it because I want to know who finishes this first round robin as number 1.
That's what we're looking for, is the top of the table clash between Kingzone, Dragon X, and the Flash Wolves. Kingzone expected to be at the top by everyone before MSI began. I think Flash Wolves very much a surprise for most of our analysts.
Definitely true. Flash Wolves sitting in such a good spot, undefeated so far. If they win this one, it would be in every single team in the tournament already. And of course, across from them, Kingzone are the ones saying, hey, that's supposed to be our spot. We're the LCK representatives.
And they definitely had a lot to work on. Yesterday, far from a clean day. They lost to Fnatic, of course, in the first series, and then getting over the line over Evos, but not with a couple of heart palpitations along the way. They definitely have shut down some of Flash Wolves' core tendencies, specifically picking for lane, the range supports for Sword Art. They went very early for the Tahm Kench priority, an old favorite of Gorilla, They don't have the 2v2 winning lane on the bot side, getting the bot lane turret 4 out of 4 times. The 5th time, that's going to be tricky.
Something even more important to me in the bottom lane. Now, Papa, you've cast a bunch of prey, even on Kaisa. Does he put on the helmet? Oh, Control 5 is extremely important. If you don't have the helmet on, you're going to be showing off the...
I know you feel really strongly about this.
Color scheme here, and so far he's not doing it. I'm feeling a little bit worried.
And if your hair's fluttering around in the wind as well, it's likely to get in front of your eyes. Maybe you miss a CS.
All right, we'll see how it plays out for him.
The answer appears to be no, and probably to your disgust, I didn't actually remember, Kobe. I don't care either way. I'm not about the helmet on or helmet off life. Both are fine.
Meanwhile, Peanut actually, he's heading very quickly to the bottom side of the map here. Goes blue start into a bottom ending route. And we'll see if he has some indication of how it's going to go.
A couple of things happen at level 1. You remember that Cogmore and Tom Kench actually came from close to the lane brush. They're faking about where their entrance was. So basically this is trying to minimize any of the particular routes they could have taken, but it also is good doubt that's crept in by Flash Wolf.
Yeah, and Peanut is going to want to get to the level 3 here, starts up the Raptors, but it's a good possibility that you're bringing up because there's so many things that go into the mind games of the early jungle routes when the vision is not there on the map. And they know that it's a Lulu lane. Lulu's going to look to push against the Tom Kench, the melee support, so they'll be pushing up. One of the reasons that a lot of teams have actually been able to get early leads against them, you know, attacking that bottom lane. Peanut, though, walking over the ward.
And that's the way that you beat Kingzone. Froskuren said it. You have to track Peanut in the early game. You have to shut down that jungle pressure that he can enact.
And this is something that has been true of Prey and Gorilla since 2015. It's how they played the game. I would say maybe even more true in 2016 when Peanut came in and changed up their jungle plan. Previously, they had a very defensive jungler in Hojin. This is how they play. They try to leave bot lane on an island. That's why it's Braum, Tom Kench, really nothing else in the LCK, because you don't want to have something that's pretty self-sufficient. These range supports are not, and it's why when you see that matchup, you on the first side say, okay, priority Kingzone, but the ganking potential is certainly there for Flash.
Yeah, and Peanut using his priority early on to get both Scuttle Crabs here, and then returning to clear out all of his small camps. So trying to keep Mujin corralled in their side, and a lot of vision has been laid by Kingzone in defensive positions.
I'd argue early game 3 winning lanes in terms of lane priority, pushing up and raising the doubt for Flash Wolves on where the enemies are. Seems like that's there for Kingzone. Eventually, with a Phantom Dancer, you can start going in as Yasuo, but early game, you know, much longer cooldowns and much lower damage. Mid lane, the Galio, so many nerfs to the laning phase, has to slow down. We already mentioned that double range would get the job done on bot side, so I guess you have to say credit to Mujin because you don't want to be walking up for a Scuttle Crab and know you don't have your ally having the priority to actually come over and join.
One of the other things that even made, you know, Tom Kench's laning worse on this patch, of course, the nerfs are into the gray health. So if you do take some of the ranged harassment, won't heal up quite as much. So we're seeing them be very defensive down there, you know, happy to stay in a fairly safe spot in the lane. Meanwhile, Peanut has gone for his back, doesn't get the full Tiamat completion, but he does get the extra attack damage here from the longsword. So if he does find Mujin, would be able to fend fairly well for himself.
Both junglers seem to just be happy at the moment, trying to track their enemy junglers. As you say, for Mujin, although he usually plays a very high jungle proximity style, a very gank-heavy style, it's difficult to do at times. Peanut is the first to pull off the gank on towards Betty in the bottom lane, trying to trade. The Devour comes out. A lot of damage on towards Sword Art as well, but he doesn't have that thick skin to answer.
Very nice economy, though, by Flash Wolves. They don't use anything here. No summoners invested to make this happen. Just a bit of health bar on both the AD carry and support.
Yeah, so much of it is about your positioning in lane. You can see Sword Art there, hanging back, waiting for the Devour, and very nice usage there to keep Betty safe.
He walks up. Yeah, I start thinking about the future because both teams are obliging with a pretty quiet early game. I think Flash Wolves is going to be a lot less about the 5v5 than the Galio pick first suggests. When it comes to other knockups, they have very little synergy for the last breath coming through from the Yasuo. But Yasuo also, maybe he doesn't have an opponent that can match him in the side lane. They'll certainly have team fighting options, but I think like the split push will be the big thing for Hunter.
And we've seen this Yasuo pick in the Nar very, very frequently. Yes, it is always hyped up as, oh yes, super exciting counter because people want to see Yasuo played, right? But you also need to think about a lot of the pressure does come from kill pressure and where's the jungler or where is the Galio ultimate. Those are the things that Kingzone are really going to have to account for, because we're approaching the level 6s coming in and the ultimates becoming available for them to use.
A lot of pro players have actually spoken to me privately, some skepticism about still counterpick being used after Yasuo many moons ago got a lot of incidental nerfs to base health and things like that. I think there's a lot of win more now, because with Conqueror, he has the perfect keystone to really take over the game reliably. But I think the laning phase, if anything, got worse. The reliability got worse. You still get to the place, but a counterpick usually means in lane, and there are many situations where Yasuo can fall behind the Gnar.
Exactly, and a lot of them that do revolve around kill pressure get changed by so many different factors.
Matchup.
Exactly.
General meta. Good point.
All right, well, we also should go over some other unique things. There are so many little different twists here. You know, Kog'Maw is, of course, running the lethal tempo. So with Kog'Maw, you can start the timer with a long-range ultimate and then move up and try and time your positioning so that when the lethal tempo procs, you get to have full use of it with your W active. It's really effective on champions that have ranges where they can really abuse those different timings. But of course, if you don't run fleet footwork, you aren't going to have the extra heals, and it does make your laning phase have to stay a little bit safer.
And he did fall slightly behind in the lane, has been able to equalize that CS, pushes the wave towards the tower as well. Prey back, picked up a pickaxe and a couple of daggers, so we'll probably be building up towards that Ginsu's Rage Blade Power Spike, where you get your E supercharge up and ready.
Sword up, picking up the Scuttle Crab here, wants to get the second one over to his team, but a lot of damage early with just the Devour. Some nice little roam coming in. No surprise notes. If you're wondering about Kai'Sa from Prey, Prey was the first Kai'Sa I saw in competitive play to actually focus on the E evolution first, working on the attack speed. So Rage Blade, Berserker Greaves, and then Hurricane has been a standard build. There is a nerf on the Hurricane interaction on patch 8.9. We're still on patch 8.8. I don't expect him to change the build.
Yeah, as soon as the champion came out, started playing a ton of it in the jungle, really fell in love with the Rage Blade, how good it feels with the passive proccing there for Kai'Sa, because it stacks up so much damage so quickly, you can get multiple activations of it. Currently, though, Flash Wolves, you can see the focus on vision as they clear out a little bit in the river, and they even got some deeper vision to track Peanut here on the Trundle again.
Muujin finally show himself after being stealth for so long. The area of vision that I think is the most consequential in laning phase is bot side river. And I'm not talking about access to Drake or anything like that. You have a global mid, two semi-globals in the mid lane with Galio and also the Rise. But another thing to consider is that if Kingzone control the river area, you can walk towards mid lane and then come in with the Kai'Sa ultimate to gank the Galio. So it's actually priority both ways. Mid lane to bot standard, but bot to mid, also possible.
And that's why we have seen Flash Wolves get all of that vision control down towards the bottom side. Peanut did actually try and get something in the mid lane, but Muujin spotted out on a ward, means that he's not able to actually do anything at the moment.
And it looks like Hanabi just used his ultimate there on Yasuo, went in on Khan. You can see his health bar is blinking, but he's now respecting the possibility because they know that Kha'Zix was topside from the ward you mentioned.
Actually uses the crop just to be a bit of an eyes to try to slow down the Kha'Zix. Very amusing, but we'll just go for the back. So nice little denial here by the Flash Wolves.
We're starting to see it though. When Yasuo starts to take those all-ins, uses the ultimate, goes for the health chunks, this is where you really have to worry about the next moves. Oh, bottom lane possible collapse though, as we do see Dragons start to attract some more attention.
Very important interrupt actually on Muujin, stops him from going back. So neither Muujin nor Hanabi can go back. That means going to be complete vacation of the bot lane when it comes to presence. The wards are cleared, and so is the Cloud Drake for Kingzone.
I feel like that's such a good use of Kingzone's time. They know that there's a small window. They just saw Kha'Zix topside, so Flash Wolves have two members on the top side of the map, and even though Khan uses his teleport up to the top side, they know this is our chance to take the dragon before Flash Wolves could use their teleport advantage and create a cross-map play.
Yeah, no free lunches in this sort of pro play. Watching the replay in the little screen, that's basically of the all-in attempt. There was never really going to be kill pressure onto the Gnar, but it was about, this guy has no health bar, now my jungler is also collapsing at the same time. It's all about the timings when it comes to plays like that.
Once again, Peanut and Muujin tracking each other in the jungle. Neither jungler really had a massive impact as of yet, but Kingzone now have the Cloud Drake. It will facilitate those roams from BDD down towards the bottom side, maybe even from Prey up towards mid, as we said. And still, Muujin getting caught out with that Scryer's Bloom. He's unable to find an avenue to break apart Kingzone.
Yeah, we'll see if Muujin gets some, early boots upgraded here into the mobility boots to really try and take advantage of a split map. They're the ones with the Yasuo they want to keep isolated. They're the ones with a Galio ultimate ready, a Tahm Kench ultimate also ready to try and really create a numbers advantage. But
issue is, in both those lanes, not really the priority. Whenever you have a winning AD carry matchup and a Tahm Kench, oh boy, your mid lane has to be very concerned about a field trip. But when it comes to games like this, where they're under the turret consistently, much more difficult to actually enact.
And it's so different from what we've seen from Flash Wolves over the last few days. You know, at 15 minutes, they're usually 2,500, 3,000 gold ahead.
this has got to be it. They have a mid lane roam moving right
Galio's
now.
coming too.
Muujin waiting in the wings. You have to clear out those minion wave, those 5-6 minions there. Muujin will catch on to Khan, trying to get the isolation damage down. Pops the Void Assault as well, but here's the TP in from Prey. And Flash Wolves respect.
Yeah, so much gain here, though. Flash Wolves, they push him off of the cannon minion wave. The cannon minion will go down. The tower takes damage.
Oh, Flash Taunt doesn't quite connect onto Khan, but tower in the top lane. It's a switch. Usually we see Flash Wolves going for that bot lane turret. Here, they're aiming for top.
They're going to be able to get this first turret bonus gold. Well played by Flash Wolves, and they can actually try and reset afterwards. It looks like Peanut's heading over to delay Maple, though, so they can get some more priority here. On mid,
Could even go for an engage here. They know Maple doesn't have the flash. We'll just use the Justice Punch to get himself to safety.
Let's talk really early, as we see in BDD and Gorilla Rope Top, about what this means. They have so far been able to translate their bot lane focus to top. If you can play the same game plan, counterpick top side instead of bot side, and win in the similar fashion, in a very clean fashion, as Flash Wolves have been playing so far this tournament, then really any lingering doubt about this team's candidacy as a potential MSI winner goes out the window.
also remember, Hanabi, he is new to the team, and he used to be a mid laner. He was a Zed and Yasuo kind of two-trick. So he's very comfortable on this champion. I'm really glad we're seeing this actually played well, and Flash Wolves working around it. We just talked about, Galio ultimate. Even though they didn't have to pull the trigger and use the Galio ultimate, because the Yasuo is being played well, because the jungle pressure is there, they're able to get the objective without actually having to throw the cooldowns away.
I mean, a lot of this game has been about the what if of reading the map and the potential percentages of what play could happen and responding to it. So far, you would say that nothing too much has been surrendered. Very small gold lead to Flash Wolves.
You look back through the player histories, and you're like, we'll never need that, It was a mid laner, plays Yasuo. But in the tournament like this, where MSI, where Yasuo becomes, so impressive, it actually does come to something. As now he's heading down the river, and Flash Wolves actually blast cone out, not going to go for anything deep.
Okay, he's going to get some damage down here onto Sword Art, stacking up the plasma.
Did he get it?
No. If he had, that would have been impressive.
Ready to get super hyped about that. Muujin will just pick it up. They know that the double wards were bot side. They can actually see Trundle on clearing Judy as well. So right now, basically perfect information for both sides about what plays are coming.
And you can see both the mid laners moving down towards the river, down towards their own jungle, so they can react to any play that does occur on that bottom side. Both AD carries now at that Ginsu's Rage Blade spike in terms of damage as well.
Do notice that the Gnar here, Khan, is not going for a standard build. No Black Cleaver in sight. Very much going tank. Might just be a Frozen Mallet as first item here, but very much looking for the sustained trades to try to keep tabs on the Yasuo, because the Black Cleaver, well, not as necessary.
Yeah, it is super interesting here because, Flash Wolves are gonna have a lot of the map pressure advantage the way this game is going, and because of the globals that they do have at their disposal, will Kingzone, building pure tank like this and building for straight up 5-on-5s, will they be able to get kind of the fight that they're looking for?
There is an argument that you look at the lineup, Galio going to be insanely tanky with Aftershock, throw out the Trundle ultimate. There isn't really a lot of beef elsewhere. It's not a tanky lineup, so you don't necessarily need it, but when you see a Black Cleaver avoided as a Gnar, you do have to have that thought, Kobe. So I understand the logic, but maybe the percentages are in the right here for the full tank Gnar.
Frozen Mallet finish, though, and the slow helps a lot with trying to deal with a champion as tricky as Yasuo, trying to always move around.
Interesting to see the executioner's calling early here from Mujin as well, just trying to reduce some of that healing that may come out from Prey or
Good skirmishing against the Trundle, and if it's the target that is under the wild growth, there is that interaction as well there. So it is a smart build. We don't see a lot of players do this, and people criticize Fnatic for fully avoiding the item.
And it's something Mujin has done for a long time, is these slightly eclectic builds. He used to actually build Locket of the Iron Solari first on Lee Sin after getting his jungle item in the Challenger Series here in Europe. If his team needs it, he's more than willing to sacrifice himself to help out the squad.
I think we might have alienated a lot of our viewers who like some solo queue Lee Sin, but let's talk about the mid lane here.
Oh, here we go.
Teleport in from King's Zone here, trying to catch on towards Flash Wolves as they use the Herald. Khan there in the front line, but Betty can just open up. And King's Zone will use the teleport to stop the tower falling in mid.
Yeah, Betty there, just forcing them off with a few autos from the Kog'Maw. His Rage Blade is done, so you definitely have to respect it. Here goes Mujino flanking around.
They know Khan doesn't have flash, but they can still look for the damage. Prey there on the front line. There's the wind wall to stop Prey. Takes a bit of a chunk from Betty in return, waiting for that next minion wave, but it's all the way back in base at the moment.
You can tell how frustrating it is for Kingzone playing against the wind wall. Betty on the Kog'Maw gets to stand behind it and free fire there basically, while Prey has to continually navigate and reposition in order to get some damage off.
And that was with 4 control wards around the area and a teleport invested. They just about keep up their mid lane turret. So it certainly seems almost inevitable the next barrage from the side of Flash Wolves will get it done. But so far, Kingzone continue to open up some time.
Yeah, we're still 0-0. I mean, if you look at the comps, there's so many possibilities of things that can just pop off at any moment. Akazik's jumping in, Galio on top of him, Yasuo ulting off of the knockups, and we haven't had the explosiveness yet. We're 17.5 minutes in, though.
Kobe, I'm a veteran of this stuff. Remember the 95-minute dream? It could still happen in this game. We're going LCK style here, so we'll get there.
I'm ready to go the long run.
You have to ration your excitement. The super hype I've heard you hit might be a little bit late.
If it goes 95 minutes, I'm going to need a breather in the middle. And maybe an intermission, just a short pause for us.
Do they do that in Europe? They did tie us here before.
That's true, that's true. Sort of a similar thing, I guess. Haven't worked on my endurance as much as you have, Papa Smithy. And at the moment, Flash Wolves working on this mid lane tower. They move the Yasuo down towards bot. Khan has to answer. And Flash Wolves, as a team that was perhaps underestimated coming into the tournament, are really putting it to Kingzone here.
You don't need the perhaps. They certainly were. People did the math, said Karsagon, watched the final, was actually a pretty low quality final between G-Rex and Flash Wolves, and said, well, what's there to say? But the team itself has really been able to work themselves into a very impressive performance. Again, if they can get over the line and show that Hanabi is not just going to be picking a tank, that he can also take the bull by the horns and ride it to a victory on the Yasuo, who's set up to do so in many ways, then really they should be the true favorites for this tournament.
Yeah, you gain a lot of respect running team compositions that rely more on damage and crowd control and positioning than they do just on pure tank stats. See if they can pull it off. Dragon is started here. There's a ward on it for Kingzone, and BDD is walking down from top lane, has teleport available.
Going to teleport all the way down into the bottom lane. Khan there as well. Mujin looking to smite away the Drake. Dodging around with the Void of Sword as well, we'll get to safety. And once again, we see Kingzone burn a teleport and not get too much out of it.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about the decision because it's out of position for mid lane now as well. It doesn't gain anything on the bot side of the map, so don't know what the call was for BDD, but the only ward he chose to go to wasn't going to end in any combat for the Drake and loses them a turret.
Kingzone looking sluggish once again, and Flash Wolves macro has been on point, getting these objectives without having to shed blood. Such coordination really rewarding them.
And it does feel like the crown is resting very heavy for Kingzone. They are the only Korean team here. They are the expected winners, but that's never been an area they've excelled on, being expected to perform internationally. And right now, there's still plenty of time. There's best of fives coming in the future. They'll almost inevitably get there. When it comes to this single game, they do seem a step behind the Flash Wolves and a bit boxing with shadows compared to their opponents.
And you have to remember the legacy that they've stepped into here. Before it was SKT, who just continuously dominated MSIs, winning time after time. Yes, they were challenged, but they always got the win in the end. Here, Kingzone perhaps not living up to their international pedigree.
We're far from the end, but we still do have the lingering doubt based on the last 3 games.
Meanwhile, red buffs on both AD carries. The Knight has pledged his allegiance here to Betty as well, as Sorok is able to finish his vow.
What do you think they say in that vow?
I will always be near you. that's about it.
I like more of a marriage commitment there, but sure. Okay.
Until death does do us part.
Yes,
I guess,
basically.
as well.
That's basically the Knight's Vow, I think.
That it is. But that protecting the Cogmore, putting that wind wall up in front of him as well, having Maple ulting him in a team fight is exactly what Flash Wolves want to do if they can enact that strategy properly.
And I really do like Rapid Fire Cannon on Kog'Maw's second item, especially with Lethal Tempo, as we talked about proccing that and getting in there with a huge amount of damage in a very, very quick time. It really does catch you off guard the first couple times.
Mugen looking to catch Peanut off guard, but unable to do it. Still using that R evolution just to dodge around, clear out vision where he can. If you're Kingzone, though, you're not down and out. You still have Prey, you still have the Ardent Sense, and the Kai'Sa late game. There's so many opportunities for you to get back in this game.
The other thing about Knight's Vow I love, as you can watch Sword Art's positioning, he's always just behind Betty, waiting to devour. The extra speed moving towards your target that you've taken your vow to also helps out in this combination, specifically with Tahm Kench and Kog'Maw, allows him to push up super aggressively in the lane, threaten with his long-ranged attacks, and really retain a lot of mid-control for this team that still wants to split the map and slowly gain those advantages.
Flash Wolves at this point, 22 minutes in, they're thinking, okay, Yasuo goes in the side lane with enough items, kills the Gnar, we can go from there 4-1. The Galio ultimate here is actually not intended as an initiator. It's just purely to ult onto the Knight's Vow target that is Betty, and they're saying, you can't force in the 4. Our Yasuo is winning in the 1. What are you going to do? And that's basically the theory here. Very interesting to see how Kingzone play around it. And it does vindicate going fully into the Bramble Vest, the Frozen Mallet. Khan is basically saying, I need to be able to at least wave clear next to the Yasuo, if not be able to kill it.
Yeah, and the mobility boots also completed. Oh, there we go.
Caught out in the front line, managed to get healed with a wild growth, but that is first blood to Mugen, and Flash Wolves get the latest first blood of any MSI.
He tries to take the standing damage trade. Prey can usually calculate these, not able to in that case. The Knight's Vow definitely doing a lot of help, and the Devour was held on to the entire time. What does it mean for Baron? We're already 22 minutes in the game for the first blood.
I will devour you, Sword Art, and his vow comes true there. Waits till the last second, makes sure that Betty cannot lose that stand-up fight, and now they're on to the Baron. Teleport coming in from Khan.
Khan trying to get in from the side here, but the Shredder is used there by Maple, looking for the engage on towards Kingzone. Baron resets. The Flash Wolves may have to just settle for the single kill in the mid lane.
Too early in the game to shrug off damage. Prey 5 seconds away. The death timer not long enough. They can't cement the Baron, but certainly a good standing trade for the side of Flash Wolves.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't even have to trade anything for starting up this Baron except a little bit of health. They were able to strategically get the cooldown of the teleport out from Kingzone. Here's another look at Prey going for the stand-up fight, gets exhausted. There's no way back out for him. Meanwhile, Sword Art standing there, he's like, you got no problem? I will eat you before you die.
It's a very peculiar one. I don't know what actually priced Prey into all inning, because it looked very unlikely with the Knights. It could just been the slow from the Tahm Kench and him saying, I don't want to flash out, I think I'll be followed and died, but it didn't necessarily look like a winning decision by Prey.
Exactly. I mean, you have the possibility of flashing away, but went for the offensive look instead, was punished for it, and Khan was also punished for it. As we said, now there's no teleport on Gnar for Kingzone, and every cooldown like that, when a game where Flash Wolves are the ones who hold more globals anyway, just means so much. I'm so impressed with how cool and calm Flash Wolves have been playing this game and how good, their decision-making and macro has been.
Just waiting for mistakes from their opponents. We do have that Infinity Edge and Phantom Dancer finished on Hanabi in the side lane now. Khan's gone for a Thorn Mail of his own, but Mugen's going to face check straight into Peanut, dodges away. With the Voider, Soul Tahm Kench coming down towards that bottom side, trying to catch out BDD, but a great dodge and a flash keeps him alive for the moment.
Now the Summoner is the cost, as Kobe has mentioned already. It's been Flash Wolves getting something for nothing. While that something is a 0.1 on the way to the 100% needed for victory, it all adds up, and so far Kingzone, when they've actually made a move forward and made the wrong one. This time, though, they do have positioning. They can slow with the pillar and be at least a lot of damage onto his mid lane tower.
Remember, there's no teleport on Khan, though. Hanabi can join this fight with a TP if he needs to, but you can see Kingzone pull down towards the bottom side, trying to meet up with their top laner.
Galio ult is available if Mugen jumped in.
Khan's chasing off Hanabi off towards the top side of this. Prey trying to dodge around. Betty and Sword Art pushing forward. Khan goes into Mega, has the blast cone, can look for the knock into the wall. That's exactly what he's going to do. But a great devour from Sword Art keeps his AD carry. Gets away. Yasuo in the front line gets two, and it's a great fight for Flash Wolves. Kingzone
on the way. It looks like they're splitting here for the objectives. Peanut is the only surviving member of Kingzone, and he just has to watch everything be taken off the map.
Coach Harai and Axine also picture-in-picture look on with disgust. We started all with chasing down the Yasuo, slowing him down, but he finds the last breath. It's on Dupre. That was all he needed. They go down, and so should Battle.
Yeah, that's a little bit...
We need a buddy system here.
They decided to stop off for the Infernal Drake first. Now we're going to have attempt number 2, start our tier to tank.
I'm pretty sure Maple's TP was cancelled by Peanut down in the bottom lane, so they didn't have the tank coming in. Sword Art can tank it now, though, and that Baron is going to go over to Flash Wolves from a 1,000 gold lead a minute ago to 6,000 gold ahead in Infernal and Ocean. 5 kills to nip.
Flash Wolves looking so good this tournament. Take another look at how this started out. Like I said, they were always looking for the option of this Galio ultimate, and Mugen flanks around right behind them. They're able to get the huge knockup that is triggering the Yasuo. Actually, Hanabi got his own knockup right there. He had charged it off the minions and got it onto the priority targets.
And Khan actually, even though he jumped in with the W, with the E, he wasn't able to get any sort of wall stun as it looked like it was being set up for. But the setup for Flash was perfect. Their teamfight KDAs have been insane this tournament. Look at how much damage Yasuo did off his own Q. This man can do it himself.
Funny stat, I saw the play rate of Yasuo has skyrocketed since MSI has started, and we've seen all these mid lane Yasuos. Now you guys know, the top laners, feel free to pick that one as well and put that time to good use.
The only other person who has played top lane Yasuo in a major region is Huni twice in the NALCS. 100% win rate. It looks like Flash Wolves are looking to close out on that one as well in this game. Now they split up towards the top lane. They've got Galio mid, they've got the Yasuo bot. A 3-1-1 is being enacted.
Just watching here, BDE try to clear the waves in mid lane. I want to draw your attention to a stat. This was from before today. When it comes to team fights, Flash Wolves have a 7-kill death ratio. They're 14 into team fights. We'll have to hold for a moment.
Prey's going to step forward. It's a 3v3 Mugen off towards the side. The Redemption comes out to heal up Betty once again.
But that means when 8 members are on your screen, they were 14-2. They're 18-2 now. They're even higher when it comes to that. That means when the second place team was on next to them, it was a 1.5 kill to death ratio. The cleanliness by which they team fight has been by far the best in the tournament. That's not something anyone expected coming in. This new roster with Mugen coming in and the mixed language nature, but they've been so clean, and we got the perfect example in that Yasuo team fight.
There we
Perfect
go.
example in Hanabi. There's the Gnar Maple in towards the side, but a great killer will separate him from the fight. Hanabi trying to dodge around, gets the last breath onto Peanut. There's a hero's entrance as well. Eventually Hanabi falls, and now Maple not in the best of spots, but Betty's on his way. The killer instinct from Prey onto Maple. Mugen kills Gorilla off towards the backside, and now Kingstones are the one who have to run away because Mugen is hungry for kills. Can't try to trade into him. Mugen eventually has to back away, but Flash Wolves are in such a good spot.
And with the Baron buff, they can easily push down this turret and the inhibitor turret.
They may not be able to end the game, but it seems like the last dagger through the heart might be one that kills off the hopes of Kingzone. Flash Wolves really in the front seat to go 5-0.
Looking for that top spot in the group. 5-0 undefeated for the first half of MSI after being underrated by everyone who has stood in their way. Flash Wolves just need to knock down the Nexus to take the win.
Undeniably, Flash Wolves should now be tournament favorites. Kingzone have definitely fallen short. Here's another look, and even though they start off with a good combination on a Hanabi down here on the Yasuo, Peanut comes over and they're able to kill him after exiting the knockup there. They got so low, and Flash Wolves are so far ahead. Coming down in the rotation, look at your screen on the top side. Gorilla is annihilated before he gets to get anything off, and then they're able to kill the rest of them under turret.
And that's the thing, Kobe. Eyes off the Yasuo, looking at what was happening in the oncoming group of cavalry. The cavalry was so much stronger. Mugen's cleanup, massive on the Kha'Zix. Teamfight Kha'Zix doesn't often join his friends in damage output because of his struggles with getting isolated targets. That was some fun for Mugen.
Yeah, Teamfight Kha'Zix is so happy when the teamfight starts before he gets there and everyone's low. Then it's fun to jump around and pick off the low health members. Yasuo maybe with 3 passives, similar to the Teemo Global Taunt, able to distract everyone and sacrifice for the team.
Now Flash Wolves can look for this top lane outer tower as well. Sword Art once again on point with the Devours. He has been the support of the tournament thus far. Absolutely impeccable with his ability to keep his AD carry safe.
Flash Wolves, when it came to our expectations about how they had got all their last victories, were able to throw out their playbook, take the early Tom Kench, and make it work with Hanabi jumping onto the Yasuo. That is the scariest thing here, is that they've been able to stop and show us something new and do it oh so well.
Yeah, they have absolutely dismantled Kingzone. Now there are super minions about to attack the Nexus turret, and Flash Wolves have the pressure.
Betty can just step forward once again, has that rapid fire cannon. Remember, lethal tempo on him. Look for that extra attack speed that can come out. Once again, Redemption used the heal. Super's pushing in that bottom lane. BDD has to answer. Flash was just waiting for the next rotation of waves before they go for that inhibitor tower in the top lane.
Nothing's going to slow them down, though. Still no meaningful cooldowns used. They really want to break the base here.
But what a lead for Flash Wolves now as well. It's spread up to 10,000 gold 30 minutes in. Kingzone are just getting torn apart.
Yep, Mujin's gone for the mid lane minions. Super's down bottom mean BDD has to answer there, so that means top turret takes a few shots.
Let's see Prey trying to dodge around the side of this fight. Pops the Void Assault, maybe looking to jump in at some point, but Betty says, oh no, you don't, you can't step up to me.
Lethal tempo, and the W active there gives a lot of DPS.
April stepping forward, a great double taunt. Mujin coming in from the side as well, and already Gorilla is down. Prey jumps in with the killer instinct, it's all on him, it's all on time. The knockback, can Kingzone somehow revive this game? Betty jumped on, BDD kills him, Hero's entrance as well, and now Kingzone have been able to force Flash Wolves back.
Some heroic team fighting there. A huge move by B to flash in and assassinate Betty. As surprised as Gorilla dying with ult up, but Mujin, he's caught as well.
That's going to be the Guardian Angel down, and they should get the kill right afterwards. This is with an Ocean Drake up and 54 seconds left on Baron. Kingzone should be able to recover.
That's why you can never count Kingzone out. We say it every game. A single mistake is all they need to get back in.
Watch the replay here. The execution from 10,000 gold behind is anything goes wrong, the game is over. I saw Gorilla pop, and I thought the game was over. I was guilty. They don't disconnect here. Prey first goes in. Huge Gnar ultimate from Khan. But the big story is Betty, watch, he walks away, sees that Betty is alone, instantly assassinates him. Sword Out for once, doesn't fully have his wits around him, and they actually turn it around.
Yeah, really good recognition there of the opening for BDD to finish off. The Kog'Maw and kill the huge DPS member. Previously to that as well, Prey was able to force them off of the initial fight that they took around the inhibitor turret. But here we go, the Baron is on the table, Kingzone in position.
He was a little bit desperate. He's going to get spotted out on a ward, control ward there as well. Can't try to be that front.
Look at the damage, insane.
The Baron going very low. Peter looking for the smite, secures it. Now Kingzone, will they take the fight? No, they just want to back away.
Man, the isolated damage. They only just got the upgrade on the Q to get the extra damage coming through from Prey. They burst it down, and Flash Wolves, they just have to settle for an Ocean Drake.
For almost 30 minutes of this game, it looked like Flash Wolves had complete control.
They did.
And bullying Kingzone around, yet what a resurgence we've seen here.
When you think of Korean teams and comebacks, it's always that touch of magic. It's always that one moment. No one forgets the SKT versus EDG team fight last year and all the other plays at Worlds. These has been a core tenet of dominant Korean teams. Kingzone hoped to join that particular company. Flash Wolves, for 30 minutes, were giving them none of that. None of the history mattered. But with a moment like that, now you really do wonder.
And if you're looking for a moment of magic, who better to look at than Prey, than BDD? Prey, a 3-time LCK champion. BDD, back-to-back MVP. These are the guys that step up for you in those moments.
And yet, you still are no more confident that Kingzone are going to be able to get over the line. The perfect Yasuo ultimate, the perfect Galio ultimate, even just Betty getting full value out of his Keystone, the game should still be Flash Wolves.
Now it gets interesting.
Oh, baby.
Prey and Gorilla really want an international tournament victory. And they have Baron buff to push with for the moment. All members of Kingzone ready. There's a teleport on Khan.
Vision has the flank as well.
Siege isn't fantastic, so it is very risky. Kai'Sa's short range can definitely be abused.
And Betty does so much work, sitting at 3, almost 4 items now on that Kog'Maw. If they can keep it, like Prey's the one to go forward. If Gorilla survives, remember, he has got that wild growth. We haven't seen it used because he's been the one dying first in these fights.
Summoner's down on Betty. No Summoner down on Prey. But Gnar Ultimate's going to be a lot more predictable here. For now, they're really only pushing in minions and having them cleared. Getting an objective is proving tricky.
Yeah, the extra utility from Gorilla's Lulu added onto Prey's Kaisa could be what they use to try and win this game. But again, as Papa Smithy illustrated, Flash Wolves, because of all their hard work for the first 25 minutes of this game, they still seemingly should have the upper hand.
It's only a 5,000 gold lead, though, halved from just a couple of minutes ago. Let's see where we are in terms of summoners. Maple, no Flash. Hanabi has his, Betty does not have his, nor does Sordar, and because of that, Flash Wolves are unwilling to step forward to defend their tower.
State of the game hasn't really changed. The win conditions haven't really changed from when we started out 36 minutes ago. Hanabi is still in a great spot. Thorn Mail down, soon to be Randuin's Frozen Mallet, yet Hanabi can still win a 1v1. He's able to get the last breath off and have the extra bonus armor penetration. Kingzone for now. The Baron won't break them the base, but they'll get the easy objectives that before were kind of impossible.
Yeah, so much standing gold has been picked up here, and they have Baron Empowered Recall, so even though Flash Wolves are pushing fast down mid lane, they should be able to cut off a reset and go use that money.
Getting those standing objectives really helps out Kingzone. Brings that gold lead down, gets Prey his QSS now as well. He's sitting at 3 items on BDD, building up towards that Void Staff next. There's so many opportunities for Kingzone when there weren't a moment ago.
We set up this tournament, hyping up the 4 AD carries, but Betty has been the one to step onto the stage here. Him and Prey are gonna be the focus for both teams here. Huge damage sources.
And we as viewers get to be greedy, because if we see Flash Wolves win, we know who the favorites are. If Kingzone win, it's all up in the air, because the game, if you've watched it, has been so close that the competition level between the two teams is not the Korean team versus the challenger. It's very much two heavyweights fighting at it blow for blow. We still are no closer at 37 minutes. We still think Flash Wolves, but we still wonder about Kingzone.
Both teams a little bit more tentative now, you expect. Kingzone able to step forward, get a little bit of vision control. Not too much, though. And get about 3,000 gold off that Baron, which does bring that lead just ever so slightly closer. Flash Wolves now actually having to check their own jungle with the Cogmore altered to make sure there's no Kingzone waiting in the wings. However, we are getting to those late game points. Betty sitting on 4 items completed. Maple there as the protection. The front line has got his Rabadons and his Morellos now as well, so you can't count him out in terms of damage, nor can you count out Hanabi in the top lane on that Yasuo. If at all Kingzone misstep, Flash Wolves are going to take the fight.
And really the only thing we can speculate is what happens when the 5 champions run at each other, and I still contend they shouldn't. I still think Yasuo should be doing all his work in a side lane. They can win a fight with Yasuo Kha'Zix, but it never should have gotten there. I'll hold that. They're seeing some plays around the map.
BDD had to use his Realm Warp to get away from the top lane. Mujin was waiting, trying to catch him from the wings.
Definitely is a fight that Kingzone can win. They definitely shouldn't have been given a fight if the game had been closed out earlier. So waiting to see. Expectations are so close, and that's why, to me, it's going to be more about a mistake or a really amazing map move that actually finds our victor.
Well, the map is about to get more interesting, my friend, because Elder Dragon is on the way, and that will add another point of contention smack dab in the middle.
Baron up in 1 minute and 30 seconds as well. Only 30 seconds, 40 seconds between the two of those, so we'll have to see where these teams put their priority. Flash Wolves sitting on 3 Elemental Drakes themselves would get a lot more out of that Elder Drake. But now, with the vision control, basically only in their own jungle here, Kingzone need to work out if they can push forward a little bit and try and track Flash Wolves.
I feel like both Kobe and I are leaning in, looking at the eyes, be like, all right, what's that over there? Because it's so tense, you're right. There's so little to split the two teams. The map play is going to be in the next minute or so, setting up around the Elder or around the Baron. The item timings are so even, so little separates the two teams. But right now, tempo or control around Elder, that is definitely a win for Flash Wolves.
The one thing that does separate the two AD carries is the fact that Betty has gone pure aggression here. There's a QSS into Mercurial for Prey, so he's had to be a little bit safer. He doesn't have something like a Tarn Pench to protect him.
No Knight's Vow, no damage reduction on a Galio ultimate. Both of those are purely with Betty.
Yep, you're going to want to be more offensively minded when your support is the Lulu. Here we go, though.
Stuff dies real fast.
Quickly, that pulls Mujin's in the midst of it. All the heroes' entrance. Look for the last breath knockup. Can't quite connect. Elder Dragon falls, though, and now Flash Wolves can try and take this fight.
They're going in.
Oh, man. one from Maple, and once again, the mid lane steps up. Betty says, oh no, you don't to King Zone, and forces them running back to base.
Such a good initiation there. Muujin stealths into the middle. They get the giant Galio ultimate that zones the whole team off of the Elder Dragon, allows Flash Wolves to finish it up, and with the extra damage, they're pushing right down mid.
With the recalls, they're going to get at minimum this mid lane inhibitor. Love the play. Didn't need a smite to guarantee that Elder Dragon. Do they want more? BDD, 35 seconds.
Bot lane inhib is there for them if they want it. Should just try and take that one. I want to see them go back to the Baron. Close this out as well as you have played it up to now. You don't need to take a risk.
King Zone now trying to keep them in sight because Flash Wolves have gained so much. If they get the reset off, the map will be heavily in their favor. Betty gets tagged.
Maple's there, trying to get the taunt off as well. Prey's not going to jump in with a killer instinct.
Yeah, there's a Town Kench right next to Betty still, so if you jump in, could be had.
This is the right thing to do for King Zone. Chase them away. There's no setup available for the Baron that spawned earlier. So now you know exactly where Flash Wolves are.
Yeah, King Zone don't have a lot of time because the super minions will be coming soon. They need to work with the big minion wave they have top as their very temporary point of pressure.
I think it's YOLO time.
Teleport's coming in. It's YOLO time, as you say, for King Zone. They've started up the Baron down to 3,000 HP. The Nart misses onto Muujin. The Baron is going to fall. It goes to Gorilla. But can Flash Wolves take the fight? Can King Zone somehow survive? Betty kills one in the back line. And Betty is just spitting out hell upon King Zone. A triple for him. Khan survives, but eventually he will fall as well. And Flash Wolves are going to go top of the group.
That was such an amazing game, and Flash Wolves in the end completely ace King Zone and finish it off.
A super well-deserved victory for the Flash Wolves. They were the ones that enjoyed the lead for the majority of this game. The better team for the majority of the game pick up the victory. There is no big comeback for King Zone, and Flash Wolves are your favorites for MSI.
Flash Wolves, the King Zone Slayers. 5-0. That's an incredible performance by them to take down the LCK champions.
King Zone vacated a lot of this early game. They made changes thinking that we could beat day 1, day 2 Flash Wolves. Well, day 3 Flash Wolves had a new side, a new string to their bow. The Yasuo top lane completely stopped any sort of impact from the Gnar coming through from Khan. The top lane carrying Khan was negated.
Once a Yasuo main, always a Yasuo main, my
Apparently.
friend.
Apparently.
Doesn't matter how many tanks you play in between.
And if you're Flash Wolves now, you're looking at the second half of the tournament and saying, we're pretty unbeatable, guys. Like, maybe they can go throughout the entirety of the group without even dropping a game. There haven't been too many moments where you've looked at them and said, that was weak, that was poor, that was a mistake, and the enemy team just didn't capitalize.
I mean, they still haven't lost since they got to Europe, right? They went through Gambit very cleanly in the play-in finals, so Flash Wolves just keep rolling along, beating everyone in front of them. What is there to be scared of? They've beaten everyone here.
They beat everyone in the LMS, they're beating everyone at MSI, and they should be extremely proud of their performance today.
King Zone, on the other hand, have had day 2 where they really fell down, and now day 3 has started off poorly for them as well. Is this game just a blip? Is this just a blip on the radar, losing to a better team on the day? Or is this a worrying trend for the LCK?
When it came to preparation for Korean teams, this team was fantastically on point. There's always extra variables when you come to the international stage. Their core strategy seems to have warped a little bit. They seem to be adjusting to a perceived meta and not playing their own meta. So far, it feels like the perceived meta is just a gap away from King Zone. Their execution has been nothing to write home about either.
And for Flash Wolves, the celebration, the smiles on their faces, they've proven so many people wrong, you know, because of the team change. It wasn't just Karsa, you know, leaving. They also lost Stake, and a lot of people were questioning what was going to happen with the strategy of this team. But in this game, they pull out so many different things. You know, the combination of the Kazakhs initiating with Galio, the side lane Yasuo, Tahm Kench usage from Sword Art was great all game with the Devours as well. So many things positive for this team looking forward.
I think you'd be very happy if you're a Flash Wolves fan or if you're a player on Flash Wolves as well. Let's take a look at how the teams are stacking up as we close out the first round robin. Flash Wolves undefeated at the top. There's not really much more you can say about that. Fnatic actually following them up just because of alphabetical order here. King Zone did beat them earlier on.
That means that, honestly, so much is undecided. All we know is the best team The rest of the standings are very fluid. I feel like we're no closer to knowing 2 through 4, and those are the playoff teams that are likely to join. Flashwoods are all but confirmed to be top 4.
I actually forgot Fnatic owned their head-to-head against Kingzone. I'm so used to LCK teams winning. I even cast that game. What a mistake from me. Team Liquid and EVO sitting at the bottom of the table, but Liquid did